welcome to Rock Tales. I'm Nick Carpenter, usually Steve Blacknell here, but he's anecdoted himself into oblivion. Today it's me. I'm here with a fine collection of the great and the good. Well, it's just two blokes today, in fact. Music industry veterans, I think if we call them that, although record companies would probably call them heritage artists, I think. Yeah. I think that only goes to show they've led very full and fascinating lives. Well, the idea today is that we're here to share amusing stories from all our various experiences in and around the crazy world of music and showbiz. You can swear, you can name names. If you think you can get away with it, feel free to share what you want, but the accent has to be on some light-hearted fun and humor. We're not here to dish the dirt. So amusing stories, I think. We don't really want to make judgments, but your best stories.
So before we get into it, to the strangers, my name's Steve Salvari, and Dave and I go back to the beginning of my career almost, because Dave was the manager of my first band.
Central Line? No, before Central Line.
No. How do you know that? You shocked me. How do you know that?
Well, I was a disco queen.
What?
I was in charge of disco promotion at CBS, RCA, EMI, back from 75 through till about 84.
Fuck me. Yeah, go on.
So I know all you funksters.
Right, you just shocked the boots off of me, right?
Yeah, Walking into Sunshine was my favourite track you did.
Okay, right, okay. That's...
What? See, I told you he was good.
You shocked the fuck out of me, man. So anyway... yeah, so I'm a founder member of that band, and you know, Dave and I hooked up a few back again. We got back into it, you know, a few years back, and you know, my background is in Brit funk. You know, worked with just loads of people ever since.
Yes.
Yeah, God blimey. I'm always shocked when people go, yeah, I know your band.
Well, yeah, it's only because I was in disco promotion. So, you know, all the Brit funk bands, such as they were, you know, Heatwave, Incognito, Bluey and all that lot. But I was working with David at CBS Records when we had, you know, the creme de la creme of imports from America. So the TK Records, Philadelphia, Epic, everything from jazz funk to Casey and the Sunshine Band, George McRae, gimmick hits like Anita Ward's Ring My Bell, which went to #1, right across the spectrum. You know,
so you hit yourself, didn't you, with that rugby shit, man? Because Dave was at CBS when I first met him. I was introduced to him by a lawyer called Alexis Grower.
Oh, good old Alexis.
Yeah, and he's still my lawyer now.
Was he?
Yeah. You know, my brother was a co-writer on the Lynx hit. He was actually in the band. You're Lying.
Yeah, and David Grant. Hang on, was he in Lynx?
Right.
The other part?
Yeah,
so David and Carrie were good pals of mine through our church, but I haven't seen them for a while.
Okay. What were you?
So, yeah, was in Lynx as well, wasn't he?
Who was?
Junior Giscombe.
Junior Giscombe wasn't in Lynx. He was.
No, he did, because I did an interview with him a little while back with Blacknell, and he was talking all about he was in Lynx and he did backing vocals. They did a big gig at the Dominion. He was talking about it.
You're right, yeah, but you know,
he was lying.
People get fantasies. He wasn't in Lynx.
He was a BV.
Yeah, maybe he played.
Trust me on this, right? I know where all the bodies are buried, right?
I was in the Beatles.
Eh?
I was in the Beatles.
I heard that. Yeah.
Hello, George.
Yeah, actually, aren't you faux Paul?
Yeah. He's the ninth Beatle.
Yeah.
No, he was talking. Junior was talking all about that. So yeah, maybe he was BV's at a gig or something.
He was, yeah.
Okay.
You know, being involved with Lynx was what got him involved, right? But you know, one of the players on there's some stuff with Lynx that's not been heard generally, and Tommy Eyre, who was the MD with Wham, and also in that fantastic video of With a Little Help from My Friends from 1968. He's the keyboard player on that. He was about 18 then, right?
Wow.
But yeah, was heavily involved in the music that we did back then. And Junior came along later on and was a backing vocalist and was not in Lynx.
So maybe Greg, if you could do the same thing, just a couple of lines about who you are.
So to your question, Nick, so yes, I'm Greg Lynn, and I've spent many a year in the record industry, starting at the tender age of 18 at EMI Records as a management trainee. Back in the days, record companies used to invest in young talent. I was the only one out of a group of 6 that hadn't got a university degree, but my father was in the film business. He produced The Railway Children for EMI in 1970. And I was not doing much work at school. I was a sports athlete, and I was acting and producing in plays. And he yanked me out of school, and he called Sir John Reed at EMI, who gifted me with a management training course, which I did for 6 months, except I was the only one without a degree. So I was like 18 and the others were 22, 3. And then I landed in a different, in a department with Motown as a record label, and MCA and various, and I did all sorts of odd jobs. And one of the first things I did quite well was stick records into envelopes. And then I started building a mailing list of DJs by getting 600 local newspapers mailed to me, then going through the classified ads and picking out all the mobile DJs and adding them to all the sort of top ranked ballrooms and all the discotheques, and then writing to them and saying, I'm happy to send you free records, but only if you send me back really detailed reaction reports. And of course, they all said yes, started mailing them records. If they didn't respond to me, they got struck off the list. And they were getting such good quality records for free. And I was getting really good feedback, which I fed into the other departments and so on and so forth. And I got headhunted from EMI to RCA to CBS Records. But when Jeff Gilbert asked me to come across to CBS, I said, I'll do disco promotion for 2 years, but then I'm fed up with going to nightclubs. I want to move into marketing. So if I do the job well, I want promotion. He said, yeah, I'll honor that. And 2 years later, we just signed Adam and the Ants, and the head of A&R, Howard, walked in and said, I want you to market Adam and the Ants. I went, yes, please. And then I launched him globally for 2 years doing all his marketing. So I've had a great time, worked with lots of different artists. And I'm now in the TV business, making kids' TV animation shows. Right. But because music's such an important part of my life, my shows are full of music, which is very important to kids. So I really concentrate on getting the music right in the shows I do.
Well, here's a little thing. I worked with Gary from the Railway Children, in Gene Junction in 1977.
Wow.
He was he's one of the managers, roving managers and stuff. And I remember when he first walked in, I said, I know you, don't I? He was a bit embarrassed because it all gone south for him. He was having to, work for a living. And I've never forgotten a little dark-haired Jewish kid. And he was okay, but it was quite interesting when you brought that Railway. It just reminded me.
Yeah, well, he didn't unfortunately get an acting career, but of course Jenny Agutter did.
Yes.
And I remember being 12, she was 16, sitting in the studio, I think it was Elstree, in the canteen on a Friday, fish and chips and peas. And they were all in their petticoats. And it was the scene, they were doing the interior shots, I think on a bit of green screen, where she stands in front of the train and says, stop, 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 and then passes out. And I'm sitting opposite her. I think my tongue must have been, it was the first time I had a real crush on a girl.
Well, you're not, everybody was in love with Jenny Agutter, man.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, I met her at a couple of theatres, and I did some promotion of, I did lots of open air gigs in the 80s and 90s as a producer. And I was producing Jose Carreras in the Royal Crescent in Bath. And she was married to a Bath hotelier. And I met her, I invited her as a guest, and we had a good old chat as two adults. And I made sure my tongue wasn't hanging out.
She lives quite near me here in South London, and I sometimes see her in Tesco's.
Yeah,
she's about dog treats once.
Did you? She's lovely.
Well, she's still looking good, man.
Yeah.